Hello, everybody. Welcome to Merlin the Mighty video podcast. Some of you guys might recognize this guy.
Hey, guys.
It's Dan of formerly of Film Fanatics, and now of Dan Reviews It.
Correct.
Which
a channel that at some point.
Which you said that you might do a video talking about it.
Actually, yeah, I'm going to do a sort of reintroduction video over the next, hopefully, week or so. About some of the things actually we talked about last time I was here.
I remember that. We did go over that.
December, yeah.
And actually, I have a suggestion. If you come up with a cohesive plan for that video, I'd say you can make it relatively short, and you could even use that as your channel trailer. That way, as kind of an introduction to what channel will be. So, maybe a good idea. But
you're full of them.
Yeah, we talked for hours about so many ideas for potential shows that may or may not happen. But we'll talk about some of them here maybe. But we've got a couple of news items. Basically, we're going to go over some general movie stuff because we aren't sure what we've seen, and Oscar season's coming up. You saw Shape of Water.
I do want to talk about. Yeah, I am quite behind really on many of the Oscar selections.
Me too.
Obviously, we've both seen Get Out. But of the major awards, that's really the only one I've seen. I did see The Disaster Artist with Franco, which I thought was great.
I've heard good things about that.
Room, but that didn't really get any nominations, so that's out. But Shape of Water is the most nominated film of the year. 13 nominations, including some of the biggies.
Really?
And this is Guillermo del Toro, one of your favorites.
Yeah.
Which we discovered. The only thing I think I've seen is Pacific Rim.
Oh yeah, that's right.
So,
that's right. That was one thing we wanted to check out here.
Look at his filmography.
Because I was figuring this out too. And you might have seen more than you think.
Maybe, but I've seen a little bit of Pan's Labyrinth. Oh, I saw Crimson Peak.
Crimson Peak.
Yeah.
And
which was okay.
And
I did not see Blade 2.
No.
Oh, I saw the Hobbit. He didn't.
You've seen this movie I showed you.
So some of these he didn't direct though.
He produced some of the these movies
Book
here.
of Life I've seen, Puss in Boots I've seen, the Hobbit movies, but
these are more produced. But I think over here,
still
these are the main ones over here.
And he's working on the new Pacific Rim.
The sequel. Yep.
Yeah. So so I've seen a couple. But obviously he's known for the visual aspect.
His unique style.
Everyone knows that. This movie was just outstanding. So far, and I'm kind of going through all of the 2017 ones that I've missed. But so far there was only one A+ on that list. That was Baby Driver.
Oh, okay.
Which, have you seen that yet?
I didn't get around to it.
Oh my God, so good. But this is my second A+ of 2017. It's fantastic.
Well, I don't want you to spoil it for me because I am actually really interested in it. But there was a question I want to ask you about it since it's up for so many Oscars, which surprises me. I remember Classic American Hustle, all the nominations, wins nothing. And the only reason I ask you that is because you know how I feel about the Academy, and I'm a big lover of genre fiction, horror, fantasy, science fiction. Academy never does that. So does this have a chance for any big ones?
Well, here's the thing, and I've mentioned this the last few years really because it seems to always happen, is that every year there is one, whether it's sci-fi or drama or whatever it is, but it's got all of the visual and effects categories, and it wins them all. You know, one year it was Arrival. One year it was Life of Pi. American Hustle, I can't really put in that category because
that was weird.
It wasn't up for effects; it was up for mostly acting and writing, but it won nothing, which was sad. But this is the one for this year. But here's what I'm going to tell you.
Tell me.
Now, unfortunately, I think it's other than Get Out, I think it's the only director movie I've seen, so I don't know what kind of shot it has there. But I think this Sally Hawkins for Best Actress.
Deaf, right? Character?
She's mute.
Mute.
She's not deaf.
Okay.
She is mute. So the entire performance is non-speaking.
Interesting.
Now there is a fantasy sequence where she does, but I won't get into that.
Okay.
But that's the only part of the entire movie where she speaks.
So for acting, that's something really unique.
Very unique, and I've seen this girl in some things before. She was in the Great Blue Jasmine, and she did a movie called, I think it was called Happy Go Lucky, that I actually didn't care for, but that was kind of a critic's darling years ago.
Okay.
Maybe 2013 or something, but she is outstanding in this. And some of my other favorites are in it. You've got Octavia Spencer, who I always love from Hidden Figures and The Help. Richard Jenkins, Cabin in the Woods, The Visitor, many other things. And just the visual component of this movie, I think it will win a lot of the
the technical
awards. Now, he may win Best Director. Like I said, I haven't seen any of the other ones except for Get Out, which I don't think will probably win anything. I think it's for them. It's just nice to be nominated. It's not much of a
Academy.
It's not an Academy movie.
No.
It would be awesome if somebody won something from that. But but yeah, I think this is a movie you would love.
All right.
Water.
All right.
Just based on the concept, based on your love of Del Toro, and based on, I just think it's an outstanding film.
Well, you know what? I was interested in seeing it. I'm definitely going to check it out at some point. I do want to, and I'm excited for it. That does sound good. So you think it's worth some of the nominations? That's awesome.
I do. And I think, again, not having seen a lot of the nominees, I do think she has a good shot at Best Actress.
Sweet.
So.
All right. Well, hey, that's awesome. That would be really cool for that kind of performance.
It really would, because it was definitely. I think unique is a great word that you used. Yeah.
All right, because I looked at a trailer because everyone's talking about it so much, and I was intrigued just from that.
I bet.
It looks very, very different.
Yeah.
Very cool. Yeah, and I guess after that we'll just go over some movie news quick. You brought some casting stuff to me.
Yeah, there were some interesting casting choices. Just yesterday, I think it was, they announced Hanks, the great Tom, is going to be Mr. Rogers.
You know, when I heard that earlier today, and when I heard that, I just thought, well, that makes sense.
It makes perfect sense.
That makes perfect sense.
Nicest guy in Hollywood meets just the greatest man that
never existed, the nicest person ever.
What's funny is the calendar store now is having like 60% off all the calendars because it's end of January. I literally got a Mr. Rogers, like thought a day kind of calendar, just because everyone needs some uplifting every once in a while, and I started welling up reading just a few of the days.
Oh, really?
Yeah, Mr. Rogers was a big one for me when I was a kid.
Okay.
And just his message, this is so stupid, but I didn't actually realize it until I was reading the calendar the other day. When he said about, won't you be my neighbor, and let's all be neighbor, he meant, neighbor as in, we're all people.
Yeah.
We're all neighbor. I never got that. I was a kid. I thought he meant, move on my block, move into my block.
Well, it's a similar message, but not quite as literal.
But not quite as universal
and
literal. So it just kind of stunned me that I've gone
won't you
so
be my
long
neighbor?
Without realizing how profound that really was.
No, it's the cool thing about it. He was actually selling some really important messages for young kids.
Yes.
At a young age, trying to teach them some valuable life lessons.
Yeah. So I do think Hanks is. I mean, what a go-to.
He's a good actor, and I could just see him doing the gentle voice. Yeah. I just saw him in the outfit with the sweater, and I'm like, that just makes sense.
Well, and he did. Walt Disney was a polarizing figure.
But the idea of Disney.
But the idea of Disney, he really embodied.
Definitely.
I thought in Mr. Banks.
Mm-hmm.
So,
I agree.
So I liked that one. Another interesting one was Gosling is going to be Neil Armstrong, who I don't know a lot about, other than the basics.
Yeah, if they're doing a movie about Neil Armstrong, I'm sure that'll be interesting.
Yeah.
Gosling is a good actor. He's a good-looking man, so I guess if you're going to play somebody who's the all-American astronaut,
right.
Sure.
Kind of makes sense.
We watched Drive recently with the girlfriend, and classic film.
Drive is a great movie.
So I don't know if I say it's bad casting. I just think it's.
I think it's interesting casting.
Interesting is the word.
I think maybe I would have, for that one, liked somebody a little bit more obscure.
You think so? An everyman kind of.
Yeah, not to bring it up yet again, but I love Hidden Figures. The pretty boy they got to play John Glenn, who I've seen in a couple of things. I would think that maybe is more the way you want to go. Because Gosling is so recognizable,
Too much star power?
Maybe. Yeah.
Okay.
We'll see how obviously how it turns out, but
it's not a bad choice, I think. But the most interesting one's this one.
Yes. So you've got Zac Efron playing famed serial killer Ted Bundy.
Is it a serious movie?
It's going to be a dramatic biopic, and that's the part that I'm not sure about with Efron. Efron can do a lot of things.
He's not bad.
I saw The Greatest Showman, where the Hugh Jackman P.T. Barnum movie where Efron plays kind of his right hand man. He's great with the singing, obviously.
Yeah,
we've seen him in Hairspray and many other things. He's good with the acting.
He's good, I guess.
The dramatic acting, though, we haven't seen too much of.
There have been pockets of it, but it's only like in spurts of comedic movies.
And it's always in a more reduced role.
Yes, he's always a side character.
He's never the star of these movies,
so
that he's being dramatic.
A starring role playing a really dark character with dark subject matter.
Yes. But now, do you know much about Ted Bundy?
I know a little about him.
Okay, because the allure of him was that he was very attractive. And he would basically, lure women that way. And so I understand wanting to have, really one of the hottest people out there. I mean, Zac Efron's very, very good looking.
Okay.
Play him. I haven't seen enough dramatic Efron to know how it'll work. It's certainly going to be different for him.
Once again, I think interesting because there have been a lot of instances where you have comedic actors pull off more serious roles. I mean, obviously you got Keaton, you got Robin Williams. So,
but the first time I saw Franco, which would have been probably 127 hours, I knew him from Pineapple Express and Freaks and Geeks, and I just thought this is a pretty serious role, and I thought he did a great job.
A lot of people did. So
it will be interesting.
Time will tell on that one.
Yeah,
but
sure.
Definitely an interesting choice. I guess we can talk about the Trek thing in a little bit later.
Okay.
We'll save that. That's a bigger discussion. I just found a couple little articles I was skewing forth for future movies. You and I kind of like the Purge movies, I guess.
The Purge movies are all slightly above average.
They're all slightly above average movies.
All three of them, I think, I've given in that
C-ish
C range.
Yeah, they're not great.
I love the concept more than the execution of any of them.
Yeah, I think it's a dystopian idea that seems very possible. It is interesting, but they just kind of are bogged down to the basic bones of.
The best because they went outside.
They went outside and you saw the purging.
Yeah.
And so this one apparently, Purge 4, is actually a prequel where we find out how the first Purge was. So
that's interesting.
It might actually expand on the ideas of these movies, which are the best part.
I would like that a lot, actually.
See how it started, and maybe I just hope it's not. This is the first one, and they just do the same thing again.
Yes, that would be stupid.
So, I mean, you think that sounds potentially cool?
Yeah. Well, I think with all of these movies, the thing you and I like the most is that concept, and that each one sort of builds on it, and we learn more about it. Like the second one, like we said, went outside. The third one was a political, intrigue. The first one was just a home invasion in the most basic way.
It was basic, but I guess you could argue if you're talking about building, you just saw what it was like to hide during the Purge.
Right. That's what
be one of the people inside.
Right. So that's why I think I like that each of them builds the idea more and builds what it's like for this group of people or this group. So yeah, I can get down with a prequel for that. That might be interesting.
Could be interesting. And I know that we enjoy Don't Breathe. Actually, as a pretty good horror movie.
One of the best horrors in the last few years, I think.
And it might get a sequel.
I can totally see that.
Would you be down for that?
Yeah, and I'm trying to think what happens at the end of the first one.
Spoilers.
A bunch of people are dead.
Yeah, people don't make it.
The kid from Goosebumps,
he gets taken out immediately.
And then their other friend is dead. She lives, though.
I think so.
Yeah.
If I remember correctly. There's an end scene where...
And then the last scene of the movie... I think it's kind of like Split, how they're instead of a restaurant, they're in an airport or something, and they're seeing on the news what happened to the blind guy. I think that's how it ends. So he ends up going to jail, but she lives, and I don't know what else happens after that. It's been a couple of years since we've seen it, but
so what direction do you think they'd go with that one? Would he get out of prison and then he'd end up in the same situation, or would he go after her or something in a similar situation?
Man, it's a good question. I mean, he had that girl tied up in the basement and was doing stuff with her. She got away. So maybe something with her character. Not the girl that actually broke into his house, but the girl he was keeping in the basement.
Maybe she could get screwed up and do a similar, like a Saw type thing. Maybe.
I could see that.
Kind of carrying on the similar.
He gets out of prison or breaks out of prison or whatever, and she tracks him down.
Ooh.
I don't know.
And he has to escape her.
And he has to try and escape her, but of course he's blind.
But I don't.
But he's got the training, the military training
so he's,
background.
Might as well not be blind.
Right. And I don't know. I'm definitely down for a sequel because it was a really good horror movie.
It was very interesting. I remember thinking the concept was kind of dumb, but they pulled it off.
Yeah.
It was pretty cool. Mm-hmm. There was also another little article that I found because I just thought that you might get a kick out of it.
Okay.
Because this comes from where I always scour to get little bits of news from the Great Cinema Blend.
Okay.
Which always has a variety of different articles.
Yeah.
And one of them was there was apparently a report that the Fast and Furious movies have been causing people to speed more.
Is that right?
Apparently. And this one blew my mind. I'm like, really? You think car enthusiasts might drive fast and they might like the Fast and Furious movie?
First of all, these movies have been out like 10 years.
More.
Are they more than you're right?
01, man.
Was it 01? I was going to say 02.
I think
I think you might be right.
I think for the first one, it's been close to 2 decades.
Almost 20 years then about this. First of all, the movies get more outlandish with each one.
I'm not just worried about speeding anymore.
I'm just thinking that stupid last one from last year where they're in the tank and they're speeding on the ice in the tank
with the laser and yeah.
Oh my god. These movies just get dumber and dumber.
That's what's great about them, though.
Sometimes it's great, sometimes it's too much. That's very interesting, though. But what is weird about that is that, of course, we all know Paul Walker died from
the accident,
130 miles an hour or something, or his buddy was. I think he was the passenger. But
yeah.
So I would think that would deter fans of the series
from
overly speeding because their big hero, Paul Walker,
died
in the same way. I don't know.
I mean, I think it's one of those things where I feel like it obviously wasn't a very seriously thought out article, just one of those little blurs. But in all honesty, yes, there probably are some people that might watch the Fast and Furious movies and do the drag racing. I know there are people that are, and they speed.
Really?
Well, yeah. Remember when we worked at the theater for the big events? Sometimes the car people would come out
all the car clubs would come out.
Yeah, and they'd watch the Fast and Furious movies together. Throughout the party. So it's a real thing. It's a real cult following. There's a reason these movies are so big.
Oh, for sure.
And that's fine. It's kind of cool it has that big of a subculture. Yeah. But yeah, there are going to be some people obviously that drive fast, but there's plenty of people that know it's just a movie and they'll be safe because they're conscientious.
They're not morons.
I was trying to not say it that way. But yes.
You're in the clear. It's your channel, so I'll say the bad thing.
Well, look, if there's one, these days with YouTube demonetizing everything for a little excuse, just because we're talking about speeding and people dying, it's
going to shut it down.
Not ad friendly. It's a joke on every video because.
Not ad friendly. No, it makes sense.
No, it's fine.
YouTube's getting a little particular, yes.
Well, they have to be, I think, because they've got so many people on there. They gotta figure out ways to cut it. It's what it really is.
I agree.
But it's whatever. I don't mind.
That is funny though.
But yeah, I thought that was hilarious.
Yeah.
But now, before we get to the thing you don't want to do,
okay,
we're going to talk about what I want to talk about, the main subject, I guess, for this podcast.
Oh, I think it's a great one.
And the thing is, I thought it was just a rumor, just an idea, but since it's basically confirmed, more or less, I think it's fantastic. And basically, it's kind of been in talks for the last couple months. Quentin Tarantino, one of my favorite directors, probably one of yours. He's probably up there for
Top 3 to 5, for sure.
He's fantastic. I love all of his movies. I love them all. Even his worst ones, I think, are very good.
I was just reading about Jackie Brown yesterday, by the way.
Nobody cares about Jackie Brown except me, but that's a good movie. It's a really good movie.
Yeah.
Great Pam Grier. Probably.
Thank you for showing it to me.
Yeah, man. I'm glad I did. I think my theory that the reason people don't like that one as much is because it's one of the ones that he adapted from something rather than being an original work.
Oh, that could be.
That's my theory.
Yeah, okay.
Also not overly violent, I guess. But anyway, Quentin Tarantino, one of my favorite things, for his 9th and I guess theoretically his final film, because he didn't...
Well, I think he was going to do 10.
He's going to do 10? Okay. He's at 10?
10 was 10 and 10
okay.
now.
Okay, well, yeah, he said he wants to stop at 10.
Yeah.
And I actually understand his reasoning. He doesn't want to go past this point.
Right. Seinfeld.
Yeah, like he's on a streak.
Yeah.
But he's never done science fiction, And so it's funny because my buddy Troll and I talked about this before knowing about it. Like we've like, oh, Tarantino's touched basically every genre and put his own spin on it and done it so well. But he's never really done sci-fi. And we thought, what did he grow up with? What did he like? We thought, wouldn't it be cool if Tarantino did a really violent, gritty, old-school sci-fi movie with the big suits and the cheesy robots, because that's the kind of thing he'd do.
Yeah.
And true to form, instead of just doing some original thing, he's going to direct a Star Trek movie.
It's pretty wild.
And I'm like... And
pretty wild.
and I thought, okay, maybe that's just a weird thing, but apparently Tarantino's a big Star Trek fan because he grew up with the original series.
Yeah.
And his idea, I listened to a couple little podcasts he was on about it. He wants to basically, we don't know what the script's going to be.
Right.
He doesn't want to do an original one. He wants to take one of the stories from either the original series or Next Gen, because he says there's so many great episodes that on a modern budget you could flesh out to a 2-hour movie.
Sure.
So he's probably just going to do one of those, but in his style. And that was his idea. I mean, this is still pretty early, but basically, I'm just excited because I think it might potentially be awesome. Maybe it'll be horrible, but I have a hard time believing that. So what are your thoughts on it?
Okay. Here's my thoughts on it.
Tell me.
It could and probably will be great.
Okay.
Because
it's Tarantino.
What has he done that is not great?
Planet.
I can't think of too many. Right. That's
well, okay. Wait. That's Rodriguez. All right. Okay. Technically, Death Proof is considered to be his worst movie.
Right.
But even that.
The only one I've never seen.
I mean, it's an exploitation movie. What do you want?
I would say every other of his movies, I've given at least an A- to, and I can't think of anything that's below an A-. It's been a while since I've seen Reservoir Dogs. I would have to rewatch that. It's been like 20 years since I've seen that. But other than that, so okay. Well, and Django originally was like a B or something.
I couldn't believe that.
Way too long. But then we watched it again.
So good.
And
such a good movie.
I think it might be an A.
I don't.
I bumped it up. From like a B or a B plus to like an A. I mean, it is great.
When I'm going through the Tarantino list in my mind, sometimes, believe it or not, I'll like think I have it figured out. Then I'm like, wait, oh yeah, Django, because I think of it as like this. There's like separate eras of Tarantino, and
correct.
Django, even though it's so different, it's on another level. Yeah. It's just because he started doing these.
So
I think from Kill Bill on, he got away from the gritty crime movies, and he's like samurai epic, western epic, another epic mystery. It's a western, and it's just like. Epic, and I'm okay. Yeah. Epic sci-fi. Okay, why not?
Okay, so it'll probably be great.
But
but here is my biggest issue with this. And when I first heard it, I thought, okay,
it is in the Abrams verse.
And that's fine. That's great. I love everybody in that. Although I don't know
Chekhov.
Well, I don't. Well, okay, he's out, but I don't know. To be honest, one thing I'm concerned with is I don't know how they're going to adapt to the Tarantino style.
Because it'll feel completely different.
I think it'll be completely different, like you said. I think Chris Pine is a great Captain Kirk.
Okay.
I think Chris Pine is a good actor. But I don't think he's a great actor, and I don't know if he can adapt.
You don't think he's a Tarantino level actor?
I don't. Okay, I saw Justice League last week. You know this.
Wonder Woman.
And it made me think of his part in Wonder Woman.
He was pretty good in Wonder Woman. He was good in Wonder Woman.
Great in Wonder Woman.
Yeah.
But that ain't a Tarantino type movie. It's more of a Star Trek type movie, right? But here's my biggest problem with it.
Okay.
Is that Tarantino is known for the grittiness,
the violence,
the hard
the
R,
cursing. That's what it'll be.
And that's what it'll be.
Or they'll have to dial it down.
That to me is not Star Trek. Star Trek has always been accessible to everyone. It's always been for everyone. And I don't think
it'll work.
No, like I said, I think it's going to be a great movie for adults. But when we were both kids, we watched Star Trek on TV.
Well,
Next Generation, original series, Deep Space Nine.
Okay.
When we were a little older, but
I think I know what you're saying. Star Trek, I wouldn't say Star Trek is necessarily for kids in the same way that Star Wars is, but it was always it's always
accessible to everyone.
Wholesome. It's the Roddenberry, the perfect future. We're all nice people. We care about each other, even though we'll fight the bad guys.
And look, I'm not saying the PG-13 Abrams ones. I know some of the original movies were also PG-13 towards the end. There are some of the next-gen movies, and that's fine. Like, okay, cool. But it's to a level of a superhero type movie. Yeah, maybe there's a little cursing. Maybe it's a little more violent than the old TV show. But like,
you bring up an interesting point, because it's not to say that Trek can't be violent or mature or dark.
Correct.
But there's a way to do it, and typically in the movies have never been the smartest. They've always been, much like any other big franchise, explosions. And whenever I don't know if you've seen all the Next Generation movies, but when they start saying,
I think I've seen all but one or two.
When they start the one-liners, the action one, it's just like, this is so forced. This isn't the same. And some people are like, aren't the same characters almost.
Yes.
So is it not true to Trek in that sense?
That's what I think. Like, I think it's going to be a great movie because it's Tarantino, and I trust that he, after 8 movies that are great, I trust that he knows what he's doing. But I don't think it's going to be a Trek movie.
That's a good point. Well, I understand what you're saying. It's that you almost want him to do that old school 50s sci-fi movie, but just Tarantino style, as opposed to just taking something that is so established. Mm-hmm. I understand what you're saying.
I also don't know if Chris Pine is
up to it.
Is a Tarantino actor.
That's a good point. I think the other guys kind of are. I think
Carl Urban absolutely is. Zoe Saldana absolutely is.
Quinto's pretty good.
Oh yeah, Quinto's absolutely.
But you're right. Pine might be.
Pine, I love him as Kirk.
He's good,
and he's a good actor. I've never seen him phone a performance.
It's interesting. It's interesting you say that, because on the interview, Tarantino was saying that he loved William Shatner's Kirk. He loved that type of Kirk. So maybe for him, he knows that. So maybe Pine's perfectly fine.
Maybe.
Because
he's a great Kirk, but he's not an overacting Kirk. Shatner's an overactor.
Yes, but it's like I said, it's different. I have a caveat that might help, because I didn't give you one detail.
Okay.
The one example he used was actually a Next Generation episode that involved, once again, parallel universes.
Okay.
So if it's a mirror universe where it's the Empire instead of the Federation, maybe there's more of an excuse to do something dark and gritty and more violent, with more cursing and sex and stuff.
Okay.
That's
not the worst idea.
Yeah, it's happened before in a TV way. So I'm like, Spock's beard, it's not impossible.
Okay, so I think about my dad, who at this point is
probably hates the new
in
movies.
his late 60s. No, he loves the new movies.
What?
Because
crazy.
Yeah, but think about it.
Well, then again, my mom likes it too.
All the characters are spot on. The writing and the feel is very much Trek.
True.
I can't see my dad wanting to go see
the gore fest,
an R-rated gore Tarantino Star Trek, and he's been a Star Trek fan for quite literally 51 years. And that, to me, I think it does the franchise a disservice.
Well, I haven't watched any of it, which I know is sacrilege. But Star Trek Discovery, from what I hear,
dropped an F-bomb in one.
Yeah, I've heard they've gotten to that level anyway. So maybe they're testing waters with Discovery, making it more intense.
That would make sense,
because it's a streaming service anyway.
Yeah.
So
that would make sense, I guess.
So on board, but worried at the same sort of words.
Super hesitant. I have no doubt that if it were a sci-fi epic with Tarantino's name on it, it would be
cool,
outstanding.
Yeah.
But I don't know if it's going to be a Star Trek movie.
That's an interesting point.
Yeah.
So
we'll see.
That's a good point. Maybe almost like a satire or alternate universe. I don't know. That's a good point. But yeah, we're getting up to the half an hour mark here. Okay. So I wanted to do this one thing with you, and then maybe we can just talk about some general stuff. I did have another discussion idea, but I don't know if we're going to actually be able to watch it now that I think about it.
Okay.
Because I know that the audio probably won't come out, but that's okay. Maybe that's okay, because you don't really like to watch trailers.
Hate watching trailers,
and
especially for horror or superhero.
Because
gives away everything.
Spoilers. Okay, then all right, it's okay. We won't have the audio on. We won't have the audio, but I
was willing to watch it for you.
That's
how much I love the Merlin.
Well, I honestly I underestimated us because I thought we maybe wouldn't have enough news to talk about because we don't watch anything right now. And so we can react to a trailer like everybody does, and look at us.
It's already a half hour in, and we've talked about 8 different topics.
We're fine. Well, all right. Well, this thing. All right. It's the
Ant-Man and the Wasp.
Ant-Man and the Wasp.
Yeah.
Like it's. Oh wow. Maybe this will work.
Okay.
Okay. Crazy. Well, all right. Well. I guess we're gonna do a live reaction. I mean, it'll probably be up like a week or two from now, so who cares?
Yeah.
But heck, you liked Ant-Man, I think.
I did. I believe it was in the B range. Yeah. Love a Paul Rudd.
Paul Rudd, and there's a Wasp in this one. B. What?
You're right.
But Ant-Man was fun. They're making a trailer this time with his girlfriend, the Wasp, in it.
Okay. And that is what's her face, right? From
Evangeline Lilly from Lost and The Hobbit, where she played that elf girl that didn't need to be there.
Non-existent Hobbit, they called her, or non-existent elf,
I
guess.
The elf, the romance plot that didn't need to be. My least favorite thing. Yeah, there was no reason to have it done. I'm breathing. Right. It's fine. I just hate forced romances in everything.
You said you're breathing. Don't breathe too.
All right, we're gonna watch this thing. We'll talk briefly about it. Okay. Hopefully, it doesn't spoil too much. I don't think it does. But, okay, I'll make it big screen. How's that sound?
Yeah.
All right, we'll do it.
Big it up.
I just have one question.
Okay.
When Cap needed help, if I'd asked you, would you have come?
I guess we'll never know.
It's just,
But if you had, you'd have never been caught.
I love the Marvel logo. Just.
They changed it.
A little bit, yeah.
They've got Douglas
back. Yeah, Douglas.
OG Ant-Man.
That's right. Alright, that's funny.
That's cool.
Summer tentpole release for Marvel.
Wow.
Ant-Man and the Wasp.
They're confident.
Yeah. Which
Well,
I thought was weird, but the first one came out in the summer.
Yeah.
It did pretty well.
Pretty well, yeah. I was honestly surprised me.
Yeah, me too.
Like, that's cool.
People trust Marvel though.
At this point, Hot Wheels.
That's a cool one. Oh yeah, I forgot what's his face is in it. Pena.
Yep. It's the jokey guy with the stories.
Right.
Yep, all the stories and the rumors.
Yeah, I like him a lot. I forgot about him.
There she is.
He says she's the Wasp.
Uh-huh.
Remember when they made Douglas all young?
That's good.
That didn't give away too much.
That's the teaser. This is the teaser. This isn't the full one. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So we're all right.
Yeah.
Okay. That's why I looked at it. I didn't think that would be too bad.
Yeah.
But anyway.
The first third of it was just rehashing Civil War.
Yeah.
That was fine.
I'll see it.
To remind you. Oh yeah. I mean, here's the thing. Marvel at this point is almost like a Tarantino in that you expect
quality.
The last bad Marvel movie was Thor 2. I mean, that was like 3 or 4 years ago.
2014. Yeah, 2013.
Or Iron Man 3, whichever came out later.
The same year, I think.
I think they might have, but that was a bad year for Marvel.
The beginning of Phase 2, yeah.
I mean, I didn't love Ultron, but it was like...
It was all right.
Still
it was pretty good.
Right,
well,
yeah.
and actually, this is perfect because this was kind of, for the last 10 minutes here, this was kind of a discussion I was thinking about earlier today when I thought we'd be doing this. It's kind of complicated, but... Okay. How the Hollywood industry does things, trying to toe the line between product and art.
Okay.
Because I feel like, some critics really criticize the way, say, for instance, the Marvel movies do something. Like, a couple of my friends, okay, we all get together, we see the Marvel movies, and it's generally accepted they're a good time. And you and I agree that pretty much even the worst Marvel movies, like Thor 2, are still pretty good by movie standards.
Yeah.
Compared to a lot of...
I gave it a B-. I mean, it wasn't a...
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're not...
Okay.
They're usually pretty good.
Yeah.
But the thing is, they're so... they're so... marketed, pre-planned,
Sure.
focus group oriented,
Oh, yeah.
trying to get the widest audience, trying to make the most money, but maybe taking away the light away from some more original films, perhaps.
Okay.
Like the big everybody is trying to do the same thing. All these different companies are trying to create their different universes, trying to keep the same franchises. So I guess my question is, do you think that could take away from it? Like, for instance, some of my friends might go see these movies and they're just not that excited for them because they know what to expect because they're all kind of the same. Like the Marvel movies all follow the same format. Do you see what I'm getting for?
Absolutely.
Like, how do you feel the state of that is? Like, the bubble's got to burst eventually.
Right.
Should it? Could it?
Well, okay. First of all, I liked that trailer.
Okay.
It does make me. I mean, not that I was not excited, but like.
But we're gonna see it, and now
it was pretty cool.
it looks like see a cool trailer and didn't give away too much. See, trailers aren't so bad. Then you can watch a trailer.
A teaser trailer, yes. Okay. I've already seen way too much of Ready Player One that I did not want to see.
Batman's in it. RoboCop's in it. Iron Giant's in it. Everybody's in it. Everyone's in it. The 80s is in it.
That's right. Stranger Things.
Back to the Future. Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, in terms of a more broad scale,
Just kind of a
I've been
general
saying
idea.
for a couple of years that there's a bubble.
Yes.
That at some point has to burst, because if you look at it, and we were talking about this the last time I came on, about we counted up all the superhero movies that came out in 2017. There was like 6 of them.
Yeah.
And it's hard to believe that we've come to a point where 6 of the top 15 grossing movies of any given year are superhero movies now, which is crazy.
And well, I mean, for me growing up loving comics and some of my friends, it's great. We love seeing that, and I do appreciate that. But there's also the person in me that appreciates all the different types of movies.
Yeah.
And I just feel like, in a way, the Hollywood machine is using these to kind of affect the whole product and
totally
less originality.
I'm torn frequently on Disney.
Okay.
As a studio.
Okay.
And as a company, I guess, really.
Yeah.
Because most of their products are pretty great.
Yeah.
But
with the purpose
of marketing and
selling
and being D-bags to every other studio and to theaters and whatever. It's a machine, as you stated. So I think you said the Hollywood machine, but Disney.
But
is a machine.
I mean, any big studio, it's an issue. But Disney's a good example.
Because Disney owns so much.
Mm-hmm.
Now that they own Star Wars and
Indiana Jones
and obviously Marvel, Pixar, the Muppets, down the line. So they're now they own Fox.
But they're making good products.
Most of the movies are pretty good, and so it's like it is a conundrum, because let's take a look at, I don't know if you want to keep it in the superhero.
You can expand. That was just a starting point.
But let's take a look at Beauty and the Beast.
Okay.
You and I both loved Beauty and the Beast.
Yeah.
The live action.
Yeah.
And Jungle Book before that.
Yeah.
These are, as you said, they are test marketed to death and focus grouped to death. But the result, for the most part,
it's pretty quality.
And here's something I think we brought up on the first time I was on your show. Even something like The Pirates, which look, it's not my thing.
People
Other
like
than the first one, I think they're all stupid and horrible.
But Pirates fans
are obviously who it's for. Like, I would never see a Pirates movie if I wasn't reviewing it. I just wouldn't.
No.
But I do, and it's like, okay, it's all right. But I can see clearly that the people that this movie is for love it.
And as a business model for marketing, Disney has a really great team, or thousands of teams, who knows, to figure out what their fans want.
Correct.
And how to give them what they want.
Now let's take another studio.
Okay.
And reverse it. Universal, who has had some good runs lately. Jurassic World obviously was a huge hit.
Mm-hmm.
Fast and Furious is only a hit because they let Vin Diesel do whatever he wants. And Vin Diesel knows what the audience wants.
True.
But look at how much they screwed up The Mummy. Now, I kind of liked The Mummy.
The Universal
but
Monsters.
This is, I mean, they were going to start an entire universe with this movie that was a huge bomb.
But they were too obviously trying to do Marvel and not speak to the classic elements.
Right. And, and they ran into the same problem with some of their earlier ones, like the Dracula Untold, and some of that stuff.
Yeah, that's true.
They were trying. So, there's a studio who has made a ton of money, and obviously, like I said, the Jurassic franchise kind of runs on its own at this
Jurassic
point,
Park, yeah.
And so does Fast and Furious. But, there's a studio that why didn't that Mummy movie work? Because it had way too much going on. It obviously wasn't focus grouped enough, maybe.
Well, honestly, I mean, with The Mummy, as an example, I mean, okay, this is kind of speaking to my point. Obviously, the movies have to make money.
Right.
I understand that. That's the goal. But the artistic value of trying to create something new and original and different just seems to be lacking. And using The Mummy as an example, instead of trying to make it this big action adventure thing that's trying to be like the Justice League and cram like 1,000 different other movies into it to preview, why not just make a really gritty, dark, serious mummy horror movie on a modern budget that's not like the Brendan Fraser ones? That might have been awesome.
Right. And that's how it worked for them in the 30s.
So why not look at the Boris Karloff ones and say, hey, maybe they're loosely connected. Maybe you don't have to do the exact same thing as Marvel, but just make a really good, epic horror movie.
Right.
Without planes and Tom Cruise Mission Impossible stuff. Like, I know that they want big explosions, but I think you could make a really
that movie
something something different, unique, interesting.
I did like.
You did.
It was an above average grade for me. It wasn't amazing, but I don't think it got. I think it got too much hate. But point being, that movie was basically an Ethan Hunt. He was being Ethan Hunt in that movie, not whatever the character's name was.
They know that people like Tom Cruise is Ethan Hunt.
Oh well, Mission Impossible works. Let's do that. But you don't have to like American Made was a good Tom Cruise movie, but he wasn't being Ethan Hunt. He wasn't doing stunts, and he was just a good script, and he played the character well. So. I think I think Disney has a great formula, but I think Hollywood on the whole, I think struggles a lot with knowing what their audience wants. And that's why you have so many of these, franchises, because they're like, well, we already did one of these and it worked, let's just keep pumping them out.
Well,
which can cause fatigue.
It can cause fatigue at a lot of points, and we live in the age where, because of streaming, because of social media, and never before have audiences and studios, the creators, been so connected.
Right.
That's why we're getting things like Stranger Things, or we're getting Dragon Ball got a sequel. People are listening to what people want, and we're getting it sometimes with mixed results. But they're trying to give us stuff. Usually it's nostalgic, but that's the thing. They're trying to get stuff that'll sell. Stuff that's safe, stuff that people want. Instead of back in the day, we'll say maybe, I don't know, we'll even go far back, 50 years ago. Guess what? Studio, director, vision, make a movie. People might like it, people might not, and then decide what's a classic from there.
Yes.
You see what I'm saying?
There were a lot less hands in the pot because I think there was a lot less at stake.
You're right,
for a studio.
because there's so much hanging on it. Yeah.
It's like.
And don't get me wrong, Dan. We've seen, when we were reviewing for years, there are a lot of independent studios and independent filmmakers, and there's a lot of that stuff. But that's the thing, a lot of that stuff isn't as exposed as I think it could be.
Correct.
And I just think that big Hollywood movies used to have more variety, similar to that.
Yes.
Like you'd see,
I agree.
This one that comes to mind, Prisoners, great thriller,
Yep.
more original. But I think we need a few more of those. Not everything has to be that produced franchise.
Yeah. Well, I agree, and another recent example of the more like independent variety is The Big Sick, which I don't think you've seen yet, but it came out through Lionsgate and Amazon, and it was a great movie. Or Chef is another example in that same vein. It's a little movie that does a little bit, and every person that sees it loves it, raves about it, tells their friends about it, and so they go see it, and that's how
word of mouth.
It's a word of mouth,
It's not ooh.
Did you see a commercial for The Big Sick on TV? I didn't.
I
don't watch TV that much, but
yeah.
Still, So it's like, I think studios are having a hard time figuring out what to do with some of those more niche products.
And I mean, honestly, I'm really liking the idea like that of just the Universal monster movies. Just do really gritty, realistic,
Yeah.
dark versions
I
of
think
all
that would
those
work.
that are loosely connected, and that's kind of your franchise. But
Right.
they're still individual movies
Yeah.
that are might each be trying something new, like the Doctor Draco, Mr. Hyde. If it wasn't cheesy, with modern effects of the transfer, I could see that being
Yeah.
horrifying and awesome. I mean, I just that makes me excited. I mean, I don't know. I guess maybe that comes back to, that's a way to wrap it up here. Maybe the bubble has to burst for that to happen.
Yeah, maybe. But when people
People go to see these
go
movies.
see, yeah.
Everyone wants to see
I'll tell you
Marvel.
what, but what's funny is, there are a lot of diminishing results lately. Because if you look at like the most recent, Pirates, we'll use that again, or Transform, they are a decline,
From where they were.
a big decline, some of them, from the previous entry. And I think that's because people are sick of the same thing. The reason Marvel gets away with it is because they have so many different characters in that world.
You forget it sometimes.
Yeah, it's like, there's Guardians. Well, that's completely separate from Captain America, and yes, maybe it won't be down the line, but it is for now.
Mhm.
And so, people go into it with the idea that, okay, this is going to be something different. And not, look, the people that love those Pirates movies, I'm sure they loved it, but they didn't come out as much as they did for the fourth one. And the fourth one didn't come out as much as they did for the third one.
You know what?
So,
I have a theory. I could be wrong. But I feel like Infinity War, these movies, they're going to be so big and colossal, and they might be a bit of a cluster. Even if they're very good, they're so epic in scale, there's not too much you could do to beat it, I think, for a while.
that's probably true.
So I think, short of just kind of retiring some of their characters for a little while to give it a rest, maybe they should try to bring it down. More ground level stories.
That would be cool.
Because I think they've only got maybe the next Guardians and Spider-Man planned,
Yeah.
as far as I know. So maybe
I think that's true.
that's as far as I know.
Yeah.
And that's the
What
first
about-
time we haven't seen like 20 movies planned out,
Right. What about Inhumans? Or they made that a show, right?
which did terribly.
Yeah, okay.
So I don't know.
I knew there was something.
I hate to say that I love superhero movies. I love comics. I don't want to say I want the bubble to burst, but at the expense of having more interesting stuff, not
Right.
being able to expect everything that's coming out. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I totally agree. I think that bubble does have to burst at some point.
Yeah, but in the meantime, we'll enjoy the good stuff,
Yeah.
and I guess we'll say that's about where we'll end it.
Okay.
Any final thoughts or things to?
No, this has been great. Thanks for having me back again.
Oh, welcome back, Dan, and I'm sure you'll be back in sometime.
Thank you.
All right, and on that note, guys, everybody have a wonderful week and stay magical.